What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. This is, of course, the Trust the Bank podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is going to be the first segment. Go check out Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify actually has video podcasts, so you can watch the entire thing. If you're like, oh, I really want the video, you can watch the entire thing. It looks exactly the same as it does on YouTube. But if you want to just watch it on YouTube, next few segments will be coming out over the next few days. This is the week 5, week 6, podcast. So we're going to be recapping the Bengals. That'll be kind of the first segment. Then we'll be getting into kind of the topics you guys all want us to cover. I put out on the YouTube community, put out on Twitter, hey, players, topics, questions. What do you want us to talk about? We'll talk about that in the middle part of this episode. Then finally, we will talk about the Ravens taking on the New York Football Giants. As we see how that's going on. But Joshua, let's get things started. The Ravens, the leaders of the AFC North, think back about that game 2 nights ago or 2 days ago. What stands out the most to you?
What stands out the most is that Greg Roman was not only coaching for us, but he was also coaching for the Cincinnati Bengals for their offensive team. The reason I say that is because the Cincinnati Bengals offense is a high-powered team, and I just did not understand. I know, and hold on, y'all. Before I rant, I'm not a fantasy football guy, so for everybody that probably had Jamar Chase that is a Ravens fans, I feel sorry for you guys because y'all probably lost. But you have one of the best wide receivers in the league on your team, and maybe arguably an upcoming elitist in QB, and all you're doing is throwing screens to your best wide receiver? What's going on? I'm not understanding what's going on. You have a great running back. I mean, the running game was going great because our defense is not built to stop the run like what we was known for all these years that we've been in existence. And just to see how that offense was playing, it was like y'all could have did so much better against us, but y'all didn't. I'm kind of glad y'all didn't. We end up coming out with the W. I mean, yeah, y'all drove down the field, got the touchdown and everything, but we end up coming out and showing out. And I would say shout out to the defense because this is the second time they've held a high-powered team to under the 20 points, and that's a big deal. I know everybody looked at the statistics. Well, if we look at the rankings for the Ravens defense, they're at the bottom tier. But hey, check this out. The past 2 weeks, we didn't have some decent teams, some high-powered offense to 23, 19 points. So you know what? The rankings at this point really don't matter to me because these guys are going out there, they're fighting. And Lamar Jackson, under 2 minutes, he took control. He moved the ball down the field and got us in position to win the game. And you know what? John Harbaugh, he called as a special teams head coach. He called the best damn play of getting this Hall of Fame field goal kicker of Justin Tucker out there to kick the winning field goal so we can go to hell home and enjoy our Mondays as a happy manic Monday here in Baltimore City. I love the fact that Jason Pierre-Paul with his 9 fingers was able to give us a jolt to the defensive line. It was very beautiful to see. Being able to see Adafi away. Get that containment and really bust plays up in the backfield. It was good to see that. So it's good to see us actually building off momentum and finally, possibly get into our groove. But still, as a team collectively, we had to continue playing above the norm and above the average. We had to continue putting up those points. Defense has to continue, getting those stops. Unfortunately, Marcus Williams is on the injured reserve list. But me personally, having Geno Stone back there, Mr. Always there in the right place at the right time, I'm not worried because he's a good safety. He's a good backup. He's solid. So I love the fact that we came out there and played. We was in our all black. It was definitely a rival. You had 50 Cent and Nelly. You had Nelly and Ray Lewis. My bad. At the halftime show doing his squirrel dance. So overall, I give that I give our grade a B+. Just the way we want it.
Yeah, and the first thing you brought up, Jamar Chase, why is the only way you're getting him the ball, through the screen passes? That's because the Ravens went into this game, and I don't know, it seems like sometimes going into these big games, they listen to the Trust the Bank podcast because we talked about you got to go best on best.
Yeah.
And Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters seemed like every single play were the ones on Jamar Chase. And people may be like, well, obviously, you would think, but a lot of times this year, it's been Brandon Stevens lining up against the best, wide receiver. It's been Pepe Williams lining up against the best wide receivers. It's been Jalen Armour-Davis lining up. They've been using a lot of different guys on these best receivers. They went out in this game, and Marlon Humphrey over the week talked about, this is unacceptable. We need to play better. I need to play better. And that secondary absolutely locked down. I think Jamar Chase was targeted 12 times. He had 7 receptions. And I would say probably 3 or 4 of those receptions were on screen passes. Another one, he got the like 8-yard reception against Marlon Humphrey. And, Marlon ended up tackling him, I believe, about half a yard short of the first down marker. But Jamar Chase was held in check. T. Higgins, was battling injury. Tyler Boyd, he struggled. This whole Bengals offense really struggled because the Ravens defense is so much better than people give it credit for. Statistically, they aren't good, right? They're the worst. They're still the worst defense when it comes to passing. Most yards per game. But we talked about this in the pregame show. The Ravens have been winning by substantial margins in every game that they've played. Or almost every game that they played. They were up huge on the Dolphins, huge on the Bills. They were up big on the Patriots. They were up week 1 against the Jets, and it just forces these teams to keep throwing and throwing and throwing. They can't run themselves back into the game. They got to pass their way back. So that's what they do. But when you look at some other metrics, there's some really interesting metrics out there about the Baltimore Ravens defense. One, they lead the NFL in interceptions. That's fantastic. My second favorite stat, they've allowed the 3rd least third down conversions in the NFL this year. They've allowed 19 third down conversions.
That's good.
Out of 55 attempts. And I'm going to do some quick maths right here. Calculator. 19 out of 55. That is that. 34% on third down. And there's a lot of, Joshua, I know you don't have this list up. Name one of the best defenses in the NFL. Just pick a really good defense you think of. Let's compare them.
Let's go with the 5-0 team. Let's go with the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles, a very good football team. The Eagles have allowed 29 first downs on 64 attempts. 29 out of 64, 45%. The Ravens defense is getting stops, and they forced multiple 3-and-outs on the Cincinnati Bengals consecutively. They have been able to do that all year. And a lot of people are getting upset at this defense. Oh, they allowed some game-winning drives or potentially game-winning drives in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, you're going up against, 2 top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, 2 of the best offenses in the NFL, 2 top 5 wide receivers in the NFL with great kickers as well. Yeah, they got down there and they scored, but you held them to low points. When they were trying to run the ball and they were trying to do all these other things, the Ravens defense was shutting them down. And yeah, they may have gotten some overall yards, but when it matters, they're getting sacks. When it matters, they're getting interceptions. And obviously, we can point to the 2 losses that they had. I'm still angry about it. I'm still frustrated that they allowed those comebacks.
Of course.
But the first half of those games, the defense played great. And the inexperience, the lack of play in the system, and overall going against great players, right? It was Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that were able to beat us. That is a very difficult wide receiver duo. Stephon Diggs was able to help come back and beat us. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL. The Ravens offense struggled, but the defense did not. And the defense didn't struggle against the Bills. They struggled against the Dolphins for half a game. But for most of this season, this defense has been completely locked down in so many different situations. I know the Patriots scored a lot of points, but the Ravens defense, I felt like, still played well. It was just a couple of big plays because because of the injuries the Ravens were dealing with. Brandon Stevens had to be on Devontae Parker. Without that, like, Ravens defense was shutting down Mac Jones. And Marlon Humphrey leads the NFL in snaps played without allowing a touchdown at the cornerback position. Marlon's back, and Marlon's playing fantastic. Marcus Peters is playing great football. And let's talk about the new addition, Jason Pierre-Paul. You brought him up. That dude was everywhere, and he's brand new to this team.
Yeah.
This is a guy. Now think about what he's going to be doing when he has fresh legs. We're projected. John Harbaugh says that he thinks that we could get Justin Houston and Rashad Bateman back this week. Just think about what Justin Houston will do, not just for the Ravens defense, but for Jason Pierre-Paul. Gives him a little bit more time to rest, get fresh legs, come in even better.
Yeah, I like that. And that's what we need. That's what we've been missing.
Exactly. Like, we got Jason Pierre-Paul coming in, and in his first game, comes out, 2 passes defended, 1 sack. Seemed like he was getting pressure all the time. And he made a play in the game where I believe it was a run with Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase, it was like an end around or a handoff in the front. Whatever it was, they handed off to Jamar Chase.
Well, he blew it up. He blew up Tyler Boyd on a block.
Tyler Boyd was supposed to get there, and he just goes, nope, steps outside, forces him in. And I know a lot of people have been down on Odafe this year. Odafe this week against Joe Mixon, even though Joe Mixon had a good game, I saw multiple instances where he's trying to get outside, and Odafe sets the edge exactly how he's supposed to do. That's what he was great at in college. That's what allowed Micah Parsons and Shaka Toney to get the sacks, was when they run the football, they're not getting outside of Odafe away. He's going to make sure that he sets that edge. He was doing that. He was forcing them to cut back inside, and then it comes down to the linebackers. Can they end up making those tackles? But we just signed A.J. Klein. We just saw, we have Tyus Bowser coming back soon. When we get Tyus Bowser, I don't think A.J. Klein's going to be world-breaking, but Tyus Bowser could be.
Yes, sir.
Because he's a sure tackler. He's very solid in coverage, and he can rush the passer.
Yes, sir.
3 problems the Ravens have.
Yes, sir.
Man, we don't have a linebacker that can cover. We don't have a linebacker that can tackle. And we don't have a linebacker that can rush the passer. Boom. Tyus Bowser solves all of those problems right there. And I think it's going to really help out this team. Shout out, I dog on him a lot, but shout out to Patrick Queen. He at least got an interception. He took the mitts off.
It's a big plus.